So I'm here with John from John Varlow Training and Consultancy. And first of all, congratulations on your award.
Thank you very much.
Could you start us off by giving us a brief overview of what the business is all about?
Sure. So John Varlow Training Consultancy, it's been around for about 5 years now, 5-6 years, since 2018. So it's a training and consultancy business. So I basically train and consult in everything to do with data. So it might be about how people collect data, it might be how they manage it, it might be about looking at data protection, how they analyse data, and then how they disseminate it to other people. So it's the spectrum going from beginning to end. Quite a lot of what I do is talking about how to analyse data effectively, so looking at how to do the right statistics, all the things, you know, in terms of data science that you hear about nowadays. Data storytelling, all those buzzwords, so I'll teach people in terms of how to do that. To really get their business using data effectively.
And just data from an outsider's point of view, they can be quite fearful of it, can't they? Because it can be very complex. Of course, it can. Yeah. But it's about picking out those important pieces, and I suppose you sort of teach people how to do that, don't you?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of businesses that don't do anything with the data they collect. Getting people to actually look at the data they have and do something sensible and useful with it is the challenge. Most businesses wanted to do that. But sometimes they don't know how to do it. So getting people to use their data effectively, be able to analyse it in the right way and actually have a clear message they can communicate to their customers or, you know, the kind of a wider public is, I think, really beneficial for them. I mean, I guess that's the added value in terms of what I do.
And because data is so prevalent today and there's so much more of it, is protecting it more of a challenge than it ever has been before, protecting it effectively?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly more data, so the more data you have, the more difficult it is to protect, I guess, and you see all the things in the news in terms of data breaches. But actually, I think the principles behind it haven't really changed. Okay. And certainly data protection isn't there to stop people using things. It's just, you know, common sense. And when you mention things like GDPR and data protection to people, they come out in a cold sweat. But actually, you know, the theory behind it is kind of, you know, quite straightforward. So I will help people and advise people in terms of how to get their businesses, you know, GDPR compliant, if you like. Certainly charities. I work quite a lot with charities who, you know, don't particularly have the knowledge that kind of bigger organisations will do. And so I can kind of go in and give them bits of guidance in terms of how to handle their data more effectively.
And you mentioned at the top about the sort of broad range of people that you work with, and of course you've mentioned businesses and charities, but it's wider than that as well. You go to major events and schools seek your services as well.
Well, absolutely. So I do all sorts of things. So I will do one-to-one teaching with GCSE students, A-level students, adult learners. I've done technical training for organisations like AFA, which is the Association of Professional Health Analysts. I've worked here, I've worked abroad. I worked in Gibraltar for at least a year working with them in terms of getting their COVID systems up and running and reporting. Because quite a lot of what I will do is I'll try and automate systems for people. The more you can automate things, the more protected your data is. So a lot of people use things like spreadsheets, and then they'll email them to other people, and it all gets a bit messy. So if you can automate things, so people can just press a button and it goes to the right people, and all your data is managed behind the scenes, then that's far more efficient and more safe.
And finally, and this is probably more prevalent for the businesses that you work with, but in terms of your projects, they're very end-to-end. You're there for the whole process, aren't you? Can you tell us about just the sort of the different areas within that process that you go through?
So again, it depends what businesses or organisations I work with. Some people want me there just at the end to do some analysis of data for them, or teach them how to do things. Others want me to do the whole end-to-end process. So often I'll go in and I'll map out what data that they've got. Often they don't know what data they've got. So you kind of work out what they're actually collecting, how they're collecting it, how they're storing it, how they're managing it, who's got access to it. Working out whether people who have got access to it should have access to it. and then trying to get the added benefits out of that data. So, trying to work out what their customers want, and then trying to kind of get the data in a format which will actually be most beneficial in a most effective and efficient way. Trying to save money for people in the long run. Yeah.
And get the most out of their data.
Absolutely.
Well, congratulations on your award, and thanks very much for speaking to us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.